Hello, everyone. I believe that's currently 2 people, but I am more than confident that more people will stop by. Hello, Abolish the Senate. Name and Yvette. Hello to you. I'm sure, Kit. Hello. I'm. People come in. People stroll in. I'm used to it. I'm used to the Twitch lifestyle of trying to prop my phone up so I can read your comments while I'm doing the show. Almost. There we go. That should stick. Hello, everyone. Hello, Zach. Welcome to my show. As you can see, it is broadcast into your homes or prisons from the scariest corner of our kitchen. You can see our calendar behind me that's magnetized to our fridge, which is of a ominous monolith black nature. Wednesday is, of course, the most joyous of days. It's the day which is equidistant from one weekend and equidistant from a second weekend. So you're just in, you're just in the sandwich. You're in the soup. And what's a better feeling than being in the midst of things in media res? They say. They always say to start your stories in media res, and they do that because what's true about media res? It feels great. Yeah, let's get some more of my faces in the chat. That's always fun. The Pfeiffer writes, Biden's president. We're bringing back the Geico Hump Day commercials. Geico. I don't understand why any car insurance company needs that many different mascots. I feel like there's some sort of laundering system going on through the ad agency, or perhaps the ad agency and the car insurance CEOs are lovers. There's something sordid there, which I can't quite put my little finger on, but I'm sure it's true. It was Inauguration Day. If you missed it, you can catch it, I believe, on our YouTube and Twitch. We had a great 90 minutes or so of inauguration coverage by our showrunners of Left Night, Kendra and Zach. So if you missed it, go catch up. They, I thought, brought the right level of reverence, which is to say very little, to the proceedings. Again, if you missed it, it's on recording, so you can catch it in retrospect. What's with the general and the penguin? I don't know. They're just full of guys. There are too many guys. I feel like you could really people a nice Legion of Doom just with car insurance mascots. I feel like there's enough there to really kind of fill out the roster. For those who've never seen this show before, my name is Rachel, and I am on Twitter. I like writing jokes on Twitter. You may not think that watching someone write jokes on Twitter would comprise award-winning programming, and you would be right. We have yet to win any of those, but we continue on. We continue on despite all the all the challenges we face. Mostly at this point, a lack of awards. To the general and his good friend Shaq. Shaq. Anyway, I write jokes. I write jokes on the show. I write jokes for the amusement of those who watch the show. I will share with you a little bit about my thinking while writing the jokes. If that is useful and fun and funny to you, then this is the show for you. Tina says, I win her heart. That's very sweet. Tina is one of the Medicis of this channel. She's one of our great actors as well. It's like if Medici were also, Paul Giamatti. She's wrapped up in everything and is a great credit to our channel. So without any further ado, we could totally jump into some joke writing. Joke writing, for the purposes of this show, I usually write my jokes in Word just because I feel like I can show you the process a little bit more transparently through the magic of a Word document platform. Oh, Tina says her cat's name is Miss Meowdichi. That is as cute as it is difficult initially to say. Loaf says all of the awards. Oh, thank you, Loaf. Oh, we'll get some awards soon. If for no other reason, then we'll decide to give ourselves some, because that's just something you can do, because everything is ultimately arbitrary. What was I going to say? Oh, on the other day on the show Poof, which you should watch because it's very fun, and not just because I book it now. Every Monday at 8 p.m. we had a lovely guest named Sean who was on that show, and you learned from that show that he has a dove named Prince, which is an excellent name for a dove if you happen to have one as a pet. I have a dog named Prince, but hearing that someone had a dove named Prince, I'm like, that's a much better application of that name. Apparently, a cat has seen Tina Talon's cat, which I've not yet, and now I feel indelibly left out of the proceedings, as described again in the chat. But yeah, today we're going to write some jokes. I'm gonna do a performative non-cracking of my knuckles. No knuckles were cracked, but I do love the pomp, just like our great country. Imagine 18 quotation marks around that phrase. I love the pomp. Oh, exactly. We're gonna, as Pfeiffer has intimated in the chat, we are going to have an episode or a show on 2MB Studios, which will be inspired by the winning and charming Office episode where they do the Chili's restaurant award show. Excellent singing during meal times. Cats love meals. That's something I've learned from living with a cat in my previous existence as someone who lived in a house with a cat. Alex, hello. I'm imagining 18 quotation marks around the phrase, but 15 of them are on one side and 3 are on the other. Alex is correct. In my own imagining, they are, of course, an uneven distribution of quotation marks. Thank you, Alex, for being able to foresee that, by which I mean thank you for knowing the funny version of that. We will have the Loafies. We've already decided it will be the Loafies will be hosted by Loaf, and everyone will get little gold breads. Mike Mann will host every. You know what? I don't even have to contribute to this conversation. You are all envisioning a perfect, absolutely iridescent award show without my input, and I'm excited to be on it or to watch it from the chat. Terabyte has subscribed with Prime. Everyone give Tara a round of applause from home. This is what we're talking about. Money. That's true. We do always enjoy the cash, everyone. Folks, we do enjoy the crinkly bits. We do enjoy the foldy bits that have dead men's faces on them inside of opal portraits. And they say from the grave, I can be traded for food or illicit goods. Money is great. Tara is a wonderful person, and I did not mean to make her entrance about in the chat about filthy lucre, although that did end up being the point of that anecdote. So let's. I haven't actually written any jokes yet. I do like to play this game where I'm like, when will I start the point of the show? And right now, I haven't started yet, but we can start it right now. Gonna make my font a little bit bigger. I watch all of the programming on 2MB on my phone, like 98% of it. Will my eyeballs fall out eventually? Absolutely. But in the meantime, I am quite sympathetic to people watching the show on their phones, and so I try to make the font on the show nice and big so everyone can see what I'm doing and the words and sentences that I am building. So today was obviously Inauguration Day. And maybe we'll get a little inspiration. We can get inspiration from the chat. I believe 2 or 3 of my best jokes from last week were inspired by remarks or offhand comments from the chat. So feel free to continue commenting and having offhanded remarks, or even unhanded remarks can also be useful if those are the only ones in reach. The night is yet young. The mittens. Here's the thing. I am so sad. Like, I feel like memeing, like, I love Bernie. Memeing Bernie for me is so sad. Like, it's like, it's reaching toward this idyllic past of February 2020 when we all thought that, like, the most decent man or person might get the thing. And so for me, I'm like, I get incredibly wistful from all the memeing. And I'm just like, hello, alien monkey. Let's see. I don't know why the first Google search is, did Pence's wife like Trump? I don't know if that's from my dad or what. Thank you, Tina. Hello, Unsalt. Hello, everyone. Let's just do an inauguration. I'm just gonna like kind of get the fibers in my head that I have instead of brain cells, rapidly throwing themselves up and down, creating my version of thoughts. And we're gonna look at this stuff. It's so grim sometimes. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like, I don't know if I can, if I'll be able to write any political jokes today, although we'll see. Bernie Sanders mittens, those are currently trending. I've seen so many Bernie memes, and I'm like, when I feel like, one thing that is true about me as someone on the internet is I try not to enter spaces that feel very crowded, just because I feel like being on the internet is like being in a burning or in a building I'm trying to leave. This constant feeling of trying to leave this building, and sometimes you pass this room that's incredibly crowded, and my instinct is always to not enter that room, if that makes any sense. Every Bernie meme causing a new manic episode. Feels great to be here in the USA. A big bird and metallic enough it looked like it should be at the front of a yacht or luxury SUV. So I'm hearing word, and I miss Lady Gaga. I'm hearing word that she looked very silly. This looks straight out of fucking Catching Fire. This is like the bird from those dystopian young adult novels, right? I don't know. Let me see. What those? I'm blanking on the name of those. I'm just gonna say bird, young adult, dystopian, child novels. Stupid Google has no idea that I mean the Hunger Games, like an idiot. Google is clearly the idiot here. Yeah, this is the same. This is the same fucking thing, right? It's like, it's got a little thing in his mouth, like gold. I guess it's like more of a dove. The Hunger Games, the bird's turning around. Like, who fucking shot this arrow? I don't know why this is coming out sort of like, there we go. All those little birds have similar silhouettes. You found my off-brand novel, a young adult bird dystopia. So we're just going to save this. Hangry Games, put a bird on it. I'll be honest, like, I don't know what's going to happen with comedy. Like, I was telling someone, I think it was during the inauguration stream, that Trump is very funny, and also Trump's ascendance led to the success of so many either mediocre comedians or comedians executing mediocre comedy, that one can only hope that, if absolutely nothing else, Biden's reign of relatively more Xanax terror will lead to better comedy somehow, if only in that it will disrupt those processes. But like currently, I find most late night shows unwatchable. Let's see, Hangry Games. You know, I like Hangry Games. I don't usually steal people's jokes from the chat, but I do like Hangry Games, and I do like it because of her face. Her face is nice and open, as if she's very hungry. Hangry face is not a joke. Hangry Games is a joke. A still from the new movie Hangry Games. Which will not be in theaters. Too good for them. There we go. I think that's a perfect tweet, and we're gonna tweet that out. I love when one of the phenomenons I love about Twitter is going to Twitter with the priority or the goal of posting yourself and being immediately disoriented when you read someone else's tweet. So, for example, I went here not to read my feed, but to post a tweet, and immediately my brain is besieged with Nicolas Cage could do Home Improvement, but Tim Allen couldn't do Mandy. And just to break this down a little bit, Becky, who is lovely, and I don't think that anyone has ever argued that Tim Allen is a master of range. So I'm sort of struggling with the tweet and sort of its comedic premise, which underlies it. In any case, obviously, if you're paying attention, you'll know that merely thinking about this tweet and being involved in it emotionally, I've already been thrown off my game completely. My game being writing funny tweets that everyone will love. Abolish the Senate writes, you brought up late night hosts, and at that moment at the top of 2MB's feed was a Kimmel tweet. Yeah. Kimmel's like, I don't know, he's just like a guy. You know, there's like Jimmy Fallon's like a guy. Like, I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel and think, you know, this man is a titan of humor. He's just like a guy. Like, he seems competent. Like, there seems to be professionals in charge of composing the sentences he says in sequence. But it doesn't strike me as there's no you know, there's no element of virtuosity there for me to be enthralled by, nor is there a particularly strong point of view for me to be involved in or engaged by. It's just sort of like competence on competence on competence, which for me, as a chaotic person, it's like there's got to be more, man. AJ writes, did the New Radicals guy do a song today? Did he restart the beef with Hanson? Dr. Zach Jones says, I like the mean tweets. The mean tweets are fun. But like, he might have come up with that idea, but it's not involving him in any way. I would not be surprised if one of his writers came up with it and all he had to do was not stop it from happening. I did not know until today that New Radicals had a beef with Hanson. I will say that I believe one of the Hanson brothers recently came out as anti-mask or something, or was in other ways sort of outed as one of those freaks that you can't trust. And so, in retrospect, obviously, we're all on the side of the New Radicals. Mm-hmm. And Salt says, I like the late night Jimmies on your late night Sundays. Everyone loves those. Those are, of course, uncontroversial. Not a schism in Hanson. You know what? I'm gonna try to write some jokes now. I'm gonna really try to get into it, get in the frame of mind. The hardest part about this show is writing and talking. But I've also been doing this show for like 3 months. So if I can't do that by now, then fuck me, I guess. I'm just gonna write some stuff, and I'm just gonna start trying some stuff out. It's too big. That's immediately like way too big. I overshot everyone. I overshot the font size, like a fool. But anyway, let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh, the first female vice president wears sneakers with her suits. The first female president wears one will wear the first female U.S. vice president. Don't want to be, jingoistic or adjacent thereof. First U.S. female vice president. First female U.S. president. First female U.S. president wears sneakers with her suits. First female U.S. president will wear one sneaker on her sneaker over one eye, like a fairy bread. Sounds delightful. Fairy bread. Fairy bread is everyone's already hard to pull focus from fairy bread. Fairy bread, you have the floor. I miss what hundreds and thousands is in reference to, but I assume that Alex is correct. And it's implausible. To whatever it's referring, I'm sure it's implausible. The first female U.S. president wears sneakers with her suits. The first female U.S. president will wear a sneaker over one eye. The first female U.S. arch. I'm trying to think of something. What's it called? What was Baron Harkonnen? What was his official title? They all had they all had fun titles. The Baron. He is Oh, he's officially Sridhar, planetary governor. Harry Diamond, David Thomas. The first female U.S. president will wear a sneaker over one eye. First female U.S. Planetary governor. Oh, fuck. I hate that. Sridhar will wear sneakers exclusively for her vast her Here we go. And that's just like a fun thing. It's not like political. It's not like Kamala Harris sucks. It's just sort of like taking the absurdity of caring about, like what she fucking wears. Like, I hate that shit. The first female U.S. president wear sneakers with her suits. The first female U.S. president will wear a sneaker over one eye. The first female U.S. planetary governor, or Suridar, will wear sneakers exclusively, as she will be mostly tendrils. Tendrils are always very fun. The word tendril, tendrils? Did I say tendrils? I said tendrils. I got that in there. The D's in there, everybody. I like tendrils. It's like one of those words that sounds like it is. Like, if you looked at a tendril, you'd be like, that's a tendril. I fixed it in time. It's always funny with these shows that are just watching someone do a thing, what become the moments of tension or stakes. Noodly appendages. Ugh. I remember in college, I had a friend who was like really into the spaghetti monster. Not even a friend, like someone I was in class with, and just thinking she was like such a dork. And I mean, like, I'm a dork, but like, I just thought I'm like, this is unfunny. This is back in college. I'm like, this is a a glib a glib way of addressing the problems of religion. Alex coming in with a deep drill cut. That's a really good drill cut. I wish I was drill sometimes. Someone like my tweet. The problem with tweets is that you immediately know whether they hit or not, which is also their benefit. My dog is like in the kitchen and he's like snuffling around like some sort of animal, and you're just like, can't you be civilized for once? Let's see. I'm gonna crack my fingers in a performative way. Prince, again, love my dog. He is very much a prince. Having met someone who had a dove named Prince, you're like, that name is better suited for a dove. Yeah, sometimes he just gets bored of being on the second floor and he comes down to the first floor, but then he can't walk up the stairs anymore, you guys. He can only go down them. I'm glad everyone is playing all the greatest hits in the chat. 30 to 50 feral drills. Yeah, my dog used to be able to go up and down the stairs. Now I can only go down the stairs, and only when he desperately wants to, and I have to carry him up the stairs. Part of it is that we ripped the carpeting off the stairs, so now they're like wooden, and yeah, sometimes there's a couple of stairs we haven't totally like unnailed yet. There's like a couple of nails sticking out. He just decided when we did that was the end of going upstairs for him. He also like can't jump on the bed anymore. My mom has this very sweet anecdote about when we first got him, and we let him out of the cage or whatever it's called, and he like immediately like or later in the day he like ran up the stairs and jumped right into bed with him, even though we'd only had him for a couple days. Wooden stairs are scary. I'm looking forward to the future. The future has, if I have played my cards right, many nicer cards in the store. I'm just kind of spitballing. I don't really have a clear vision at this moment. One thing I like to do when I can't really have, sometimes I don't have like a clear point of view. Clear point of view is how I usually engine or create momentum in most of my jokes. I'm like, what's a funny way of looking at the world? And then you do that, and then you kind of describe it, and then there's a joke that sort of emerges. And the other way of writing jokes, if you don't have a really funny insight at the moment, which I am desperately guilty of, is you can start to build them sort of more manually. You can sort of brainstorm, for example, sort of cliches or aphorisms or common kind of stock scenarios. And create jokes that way. So, for example, you might think of like the Lisa Frank dolphins. One problem I hope the Biden administration will tackle is that of the climate crisis. I haven't seen any of those shiny pink dolphins that fly around Saturn since I was in middle school. Well, I hope the Biden administration will tackle that of the climate crisis. I would like the situation to improve to the extent that those Lisa Frank dolphins return. Losing those friendly faces to pollution and scarce disappearing habitats has been a real struggle, has been an ordeal. Yeah, and you can see that like the language is like slightly elevated to try to deliver sort of a silly idea, which is that the Lisa Frank dolphins are a real animal truly ravaged by climate change. It's true that that they were popular at one point and are no longer popular, and in that sense they are kind of vaguely aligned with what one might perceive if one were a silly person with an animal becoming extinct. The lab I worked in grad school did a collab with the Navy Dolphin Corps in San Diego. Checkers Guide. Yeah, dolphins are kind of like this weird. They have this like very specific place in our culture, in our like cultural thinking, which is always kind of interesting to play with. They're like fish, but they're mammals. But when you think of like they're not whales. Whales and dolphins are. I know I sound insane. I swear that I'm kind of talking the way my brain works when I'm working on a joke. You're like whales and dolphins are different. You know, like they're qualitatively different. Like they strike you differently when you think about them. You know, whales are huge and slow moving, and you think of them. You know, they're smart, but they're not like. You don't think of them as cunning. Like you think of dolphins as being like very clever. You think a dolphin could like could get out of an escape room. I don't necessarily know if you attribute that kind of cunning to a whale. If only because they're kind of smaller and dartier, and they just have this sort of plastic sort of appearance, and you're like, oh, clearly they'd be able to, you know, write a book if you just gave them the little fingers. And whales feel like more vast. They feel like more like sort of an extension of the earth. And again, like I know I sound crazy when I talk about it. I'm just kind of like when I think about in a joke whether to use a dolphin or a whale as a punchline, if either would sort of suffice on a superficial level. Ultimately, it comes down to sort of the tones or the concepts I associate with them that would lend themselves to the joke. So we'll do a few more. Yeah. I like this. I like this because it's like it's sort of dealing with sort of the mood of the moment without necessarily kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the politics. I have a lot of feelings about comedians who feel like they have to do like political humor, but they don't have always like they have good intentions, but they don't always have the depth. Like I know I don't have the depth to make like serious political jokes most of the time, and so I really try to stay in my lane. Which is I'm more of like a symbolist poet who has a Twitter. One thing I really like is sort of let's get back into it. From what I watched today, if today was any indication, inaugurations are mostly about steps. On research, elephants are in the same weight class as orcas, so there's something to this divide, maybe. If today was an indication, inaugurations are mostly about steps. I also another indication about is that Fitbit has told me I'm very close to becoming the next president. This might be a little too silly, honestly, if we're being honest with each other, which I feel like we are. We're pretty honest with each other. I've been honest, at least. Looking at you askance, but yeah. This was a little silly, but we'll let it fly. We'll let it fly. We'll give it little wings. Yeah. Single file to conceal their numbers. Being president is weird. Being president is weird because you're like you're immediately responsible for weapons programs and torture programs and deportations and all that sort of jingle jangle. And everyone is like, I'm so excited for your kitty. I feel like there's an elephant in the room, and it's a bunch. Yeah, I think that I read somewhere that Biden has a cat or is getting a cat. And everyone's like, a cat in the White House, finally, we've returned to certain norms. And I have dogs, and you can have a dog and a cat. Being president is weird because you're immediately responsible for weapons programs and torture programs and deportations and all that sort of jingle jangle. And everyone is like, I'm so excited for a cat. I feel like there's an elephant in the room, but it's made of bombs, crudely in the shape of an elephant, which is even more I can already tell this is going to be like way too long. Today my hometown was trending because Peloton implied we were too poor for their exercise books. Oh no. Yeah, people have gotten real quiet about that Peloton lady. Everyone's like, that lady, that bitch was right. I knew this would be too fucking long. Being president is weird because you're immediately responsible for weapons programs and torture programs. And we're so short in this. And everyone is like, I'm so excited for a cat. It's like... It's like an elephant in the room, but it's made of bomb. But it's being president is weird because you're immediately responsible for weapons programs and torture programs and all that jingle jangle. And everyone is like, I'm excited for your cat. There's an elephant in the room, but its bomb's crudely shaped like an elephant, which makes it an even more deserving conversation piece. Being president is weird, you're responsible. Responsible for weapons programs, torture programs. I also like that I use Jingle Jangle in my wording. I tried to watch the movie Jingle Jangle and I did not get very far through it, but I do enjoy the phrase. Does it go in the Roosevelt room or what? I think it goes in the newly constructed female bathroom. Because that's where the pussies go. Guys, I'm a comedian. No, that's obviously that's what's it called? Like transphobe. I'd be transphobic, but I'm from the point of view of the person designing the White House and deciding where the kitty litter goes, and not from my own perspective. Jingle Jangle is what they call the new party jug going around school in Riverdale. That I believe. That show sounds nuts. Being president is weird. You're responsible for weapons programs, torture programs, all at Jingle Jangle, and everyone is so excited for your cat. There's an elephant in the room, but its bombs shaped crudely, shaped like an elephant, which makes it God damn, this dumb joke is so long. There you go. We're going to get rid of crudely. As much as I love it. Let's see. What else? I actually don't know if I've written any good jokes tonight. You know what? You in the chat. Tell me what I should write a joke about, because I am out. I'm out of jokes. I'm out of inspiration. I have nowhere to go but up. Emus. Let's look at it. Let's look at those emus and let's really let them have what for, shall we? You saw an emu in Massachusetts was in a petting zoo or something? Look at this fucking guy. Emus have orange eyes. And yeah, they're very piercing. Look at this fucking guy. When the dick's so good. Oh no. I was making a dick joke and then I immediately looks at emu escapes in Baltimore County, dies shortly after. Why would they choose such a silly photo? I'll be real, I don't know how to print screen on. I think I know how to print screen on those. This emu is dead show. This emu is some goddamn respect. Don't use his worst photo. I don't even know if this is a photo of the emu that died. I think they just looked up. They Googled dumbest emu photo. Emus are emus look like when little kids try to draw a horse, but they have no idea what they're doing. They're there's kind of a body here, and there's kind of a neck here, and then then they kind of give up. Is that a tweet? Well, folks, we're gonna find out if this is a tweet or not. Did Australians lose a war to emus? I am unclear. Are y'all fucking with me? Is there a Great Emu War that I need to look up? During the 3 a.m. of my soul, which is constant. This is a little bit meta. It's basically apologizing for not doing a politics tweet. But sometimes you just need a certain. Sometimes I feel you need a certain framing. Where did my emu photo go? Didn't I save you? What did I save the link as, not save the picture as? Oh, there it is. It's at the bottom. Why? I obviously use my desktop all the time. Thank you, Alex. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Sarah just sent me a photo of the emu she saw. There's always fads where people are like, eat this new animal. You haven't eaten this animal enough. Something I really like. Sometimes I'll just start a sentence like something I really like or something I really hate and just hope that something will follow because that's how it's just like a way that I attempt for my own sake to cull insights or cull perspective from sometimes the stubborn ice cream of my brain. I'm like, I just need to take my brain and put it into a microwave so it kind of melts and I can really kind of get the scoop in. My dog, I don't know if you can hear him barking. He's barking because he went downstairs, did whatever he was down here to do, and now is determined to get back upstairs. Dad, can you get the dog? Anyway, we'll see if my dad gets the dog. Well, it's like I can't leave. I can't stop streaming. It's a show, and I don't want to make poor Matt like come and like vamp for me because I'm trying to be a responsible streamer who can do her entire show. What'll happen if I'm hosting? I am hosting 69 show on Friday, and what'll happen if like my dog starts barking during the 69 show? We need to figure out how to solve these problems. I regret to say that Prince's uh uh the floor and the camera there's a no go. I am hosting the 69 show because Ryan is still in the thrall of his new tiny Dally. He's got a new tiny Babby Dally baby Daily Babby Dally. Yes. Mr. Fridge Stream, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to host it. I am a little bit intimidated by keeping track of the scores. That part always seems like magic to me. Being able to demonstrate executive function in the midst of merriment. But we'll see how I do. We'll see. I'll do my best. Babby Dally is in the world. I don't want to say anything that isn't public yet, but Babby Dally is with us. Babby Dally is outside their Babby prison. Let's see what else. Thinking of stuff in the world that's not politics that's kind of like fun. It's hard because life is such a wasteland. It feels like I was like doing the math in my head. I'm like, okay, if 500,000 people this is really morbid and not fun. But if half a million people have died from COVID, it's like 400,000. It'll be like 500,000 in like a month or something. Um if 500,000 people have died and like 9 million people died in the Holocaust, and then you're like doing the math and you're like it's like a 1/18th Holocaust, and I'm like how much is it? Just a second, get the calculator because I'm incredibly bad at numbers, shockingly. um so you're like if it's 1/18th of the Holocaust, you're like 1 times 100, so it's 100 divided by 18. So it's like 5% Holocaust, which sucks. um, 5 sent to Hitler's. Dad, get the dog! I'm sorry, I can't. It's just like there's barking in my ear, and I can't be. I as unfunny as I currently am. Somehow it makes me even less funny. Um, I think the Holocaust really taught us that crumbly bits of wall photographed in black and white is an extraordinary bummer. And more to it than that. I think the thing that Holocaust really taught us is that crumbly bits of wall photographed black and white is an extraordinary bummer. Um, um, there may have been more to it than that, but I'm sure we, as Americans, missed it. Dad, get the dog! He won't hear me. There's no help. There's no help coming, folks. this thing is a metaphor. The same way people will often quote the horse in the hospital bit from John Mulaney regarding Trump. Me, helpless, trying to get my dad to hear the dog that I can hear that he can't, even though I am currently occupied, is a metaphor for our current moment. Kid, I have bad news. It may not bother you, but it does bother me. Yes, he looks just like that dog that's screaming. What are the what are the birds that blush? Those are they parakeets? I don't know how I get this. My desktop is my parents, and it does weird shit. Like I'm like, why am I on search Yahoo? Hey Miles, like all those James McGee depression photos. Blush birds that blush. Is it parakeets? These ones. What are these ones? Cockatiels. Cockatiels are the best. They look like little blushing people. We're gonna do a really cute one. After the Holocaust joke, we're gonna do a really cute one. Matt, can you please vamp for one moment? I have no choice but to leave the stream.
Sure, Rachel. Hi, everybody. Hi. My dog's not barking. Both my dogs are asleep right now. They're in bed, and they like to go to bed nice and early. So they're just doing their thing. Hi, Loaf. Good to see you. Let's see. Tina Talon. Hi. Nobody's in trouble. Everybody's cool. It's fine. I mean, this is what I do. I sit here and I watch. But the dog is in trouble. Yeah, absolutely. What's the reason that cockatiels blush? Well, I mean, it's really in the name, isn't it? I mean, if the first half of my name was Cock, I would be blushing all the time. But that's not how it is. Zach, hi. Dr. Jones, good to see you. Thanks for being in the chat. Terabyte, hi. Rachel's back, everybody. Back. Is the dog still okay? Is the dog okay?
The dog is happy. He's been brought up to the bed. Is the screen fuzzy, or is it just fuzzy on my phone?
It might just be fuzzy on your phone.
Thank God. Anyways, I'm back.
Back to it.
I'm going back to it. Everybody, thank you for waiting. The reason cockatiels blush is that they've always just spilled a little red sauce on their talon. A little red sauce. You can't see it, but the reason cocktails blush is that they were always just spilled a bit of water while pouring themselves a drink. Their of their romantic interest. I feel my heart slightly elevated because I just rushed about a bit, but otherwise I'm fine. If you love the show, and clearly there's something about it you do because you were watching it, feel free to peruse our other excellent programming we have here on the channel. We have, I believe, at this point, upwards of 25 shows, which are, and then about 20 shows per week. We have 2 new shows coming this week. We have a new show this Friday at 8 o'clock. It's Whatever It Takes, a brand new game show by Alicia Perez and BJ Jaranyama. And then also this Sunday at 8, we have a new sketch show starring the one and the only Caitlin Buckley. So feel free to catch both of those. They're all going to be a bunch of fun. We also have a special program of the feminist romance novel live read at 8 p.m. Knights of Prospect will be at a new time, 7 p.m. to accommodate this programming change. Feel free to watch all of the hundreds of shows I've just mentioned. They're all excellent. I'm glad if you have hearing about these program changes for the first time, then I am glad that I said them. We are also broadcasting a poetry reading from Danny Bellel's class in a week from this Sunday. I believe at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, featuring his students performing the poems they've written during his course. 3 Weeks at Courses is our partner. If you go to 3weeks.courses, they have lots of classes up. You can take fun courses with experienced instructors that offer a time commitment that is modest enough for you to be able to commit yourself in these strange times. 3 weeks, everyone has 3 weeks at their disposal for the most part, and you can use those 3 weeks to learn a fun new skill. So feel free to look up 3 Weeks at Courses, and when you are checking out of 3 Weeks at Courses, just tell them that you heard about them from us, and we will make a little money as well. So it's a great way to support the channel and learn something cool and fun and new from cool people. That's all I had to say about that. Let's see. Cocktails are really cute. Look at this little bird harness. I like it. It does look a tiny bit like a suicide bomber, but like besides that, if you kind of push that association from your mind, otherwise it looks quite adorable. These two, I love birds. I really could just spend the whole show just looking at birds. I think this bird casts a quite stark / ominous statue. I do have all these colors of these bird harnesses. I didn't know it was such a thing. Why is that bird his prisoner? Sometimes if you have nothing else to do, I highly recommend just browsing through Google image search results, and you'll find fun things regardless of where you begin. Baby birds always look like the punk rock version of regular birds. Baby birds. Look at baby bird. So cute. Sorry, I'm just going through these for a second. This is not obviously where my focus on the show usually lies. Usually, I'm busy composing great jokes of enormous import. But for this moment, I'd like to give a shout out to all these little birds. Uh, one has no choice but to admire the baby bird who regularly has its mouth wide open in the direction of the sky, despite despite the fact they must be aware on some level that uh, poop for them poop comes from there. You can never have too much bird content. We're going real bird heavy tonight, folks, because I like them. I do like birds. My mom likes birds. We feed birds from our bird feeder. We look at the birds and we say, "What a cute bunch of birds!" Like the little round ones. We like the longer ones. Very hard to find a bad bird. It's supposed to be lucky to get pooped on by a bird. Double luck if you were a bird. Folks, who knows? One has no choice but to admire the tenacity of the baby bird, who regularly has its mouth wide open in the direction of the sky, despite the fact they must be aware on some level that that uh, that everyone that one has no choice but to admire the tenacity of the baby bird, who regularly has its mouth open in the direction of the sky, despite the fact they must be aware, despite the fact that they must know on some level that a relative at any moment may poop from there. One has no choice but to admire the tenacity of the baby bird, who regularly has its mouth open in the direction of the sky, despite the fact they must know on some level that a relative at any moment may be pooping up there. Let's get some more bird content, because birds are cute, and they're much nicer to think about than anything else. People are buzzing me that I can't see them. If you think about it, it's messed up that adult birds poop while flying, knowing there are baby birds down there. Yes, I perhaps wrote that joke from the wrong perspective. Perhaps I should have written it from the perspective of the uncaring adult birds. Look at this guy. Baby birds can communicate about danger even before they hatch. That's so fun. Let me save that image. Like waiting for the computer to let me complete a command while in the meantime, will it not let me save this image? There we go. It's just like you're like totally allowed to save the image. It's just gonna take me a long fucking time. There we go. We're gonna add like a fun little comment here when they've decided, when they've discovered the vaccine. Odin turning into a bird and stealing the mead of creativity or something, and during his getaway, he bird farted a bit of the meat on someone chasing him. Now that's a good. Those are some good stories. When they discovered the vaccine, but you still don't know how long. How many more months you'll have to quarantine? This just gave me a very sympathetic feeling. I'm going to tweet that out right now. See if there are any more birds to gently lampoon. Look at this little guy. Why are these baby birds so fancy from the Atlantic? That's what the Atlantic should. The Atlantic should just stay in their bird lane and not be like, we need to reopen by the head of Raytheon or some bullshit. The Atlantic is like one of those like very like disorienting magazines because they'll have like two really great articles for like one article that like that no one should have published. That you're like, this is two for the public good and one actively engaged in thwarting it. Oh, that baby bird is it's like long leg. That's not a real bird. I want to do a show. I'm going to pitch the other producers a show where I just tell them whether or not something is a bird. When you're a producer of a Twitch channel, you really can pitch whatever you'd like. These have a real like evil stepsisters and that evil stepmother vibe. I don't know why. That's cool. Yeah, I don't even know if I like more jokes. It's like their little faces. I like it when people like feed babies with their little injecting thing. Let's see if I can write. I know it's 10:14. Somehow I've spent the hour mostly in non-compliance with the premise of the show, but I'll see if I can knock some out at the end. A few more jokes. Let's see if there are any more in my docket or in the bullet holder. The best part of Trump not being president anymore is that I don't have to about his perhaps nightmares of being strangled by his 20-foot long tie will finally cease. A benefit Yeah, we're gonna play. We're gonna write fast and dirty, folks. We're gonna get some tweets out into the ether. Bird Box, I heard, was completely mediocre, much like almost anything that is produced by Netflix. um, yeah, sometimes I just like. Sometimes the best way to write tweets is, especially if when you're feeling self-conscious, which I try not to feel on the show, but occasionally I do feel self-conscious, like these tweets aren't good. Everyone will know that I'm a fraud or that I don't deserve a show that's solely circled, rotating around me, retweeting. Let's do a couple more. Now the Trumps are no longer in the White House. Oh, thank you. I like to think this has both joy and tweeting. It is called Joy of Posting. um, oh, thank you all. You all are sweet. One of the drawbacks of a drawback of having new administration is that Trump impression will now be everyone's sentient balloon, which was rarely, if ever, requested by club goers. Oh, thank you, Pfeiffer. I try to make it okay. I try to make the show for a show. My goal with the show was to have a good show that didn't need a ton of prep. Just because I spent a lot of time like helping produce other shows and also lying in my bed thinking about how weird things are. I didn't want a show with a ton of prep. A previous iteration of the show had a lot of prep, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, but I do want to have a good show. I just want to have both. I want to have my cake and eat it too, which, if you think about it, is a reasonable request. Oh, you want to have your cake and eat it too? Is like, why do I have cake? A drawback of having a new administration is that everyone's Trump impression will now have to be a sentient balloon slowly deflating impression, which is rarely, if ever, requested by club goers. Let's see how these are doing. Excuse me. Another tweet you can write, which is a way of starting a sentence that you'll hope will have an idea at the end of it, is with many more months of quarantine left, one wonders I always like to open my email during the show because I'm reckless. And I don't know. I don't want the show to keep me from completing mundane tasks. With many more months of quarantine left, With many more months of quarantine left, one wonders whether there will be continued interest in making bread. If that interest will eventually or will eventually lead with many more months of quarantine left, one wonders whether there will be continued interest in hobbies like baking and needlework, or that enthusiasm will eventually lead to baking and will eventually lead to baking roving gangs and an appropriate amount of bread. A.B. With many more months of quarantine left, one wonders whether there will be continued interest in hobbies like baking and needlework, or that enthusiasm will eventually lead to I don't like this ending. Eventually lead to baking needles or throwing needles into perfectly all cups are bread. Oh, I wish all cups were bread. What a wonderful world that would be. Everything is cake. That was funny. It was like one of those memes that you're like, I appreciate this. This is not an assault on my senses and my sensibilities as a humorist. This is fine. This is an acceptable use of my time on this earth, looking at this plant that's a cake, that looking at this pizza that's a cake, and so forth. This is not offensive to me. The use of using my time with this. With many more months of quarantine left, one wonders whether there will be continued interest in hobbies like baking and needlework, or if that enthusiasm will eventually morph into baking needles or throwing needles into perfectly fine into the soft bakes. Someone made it a lighthearted body horror video of discovering they themselves were cake. Joe Exotic resurfaced yesterday after what felt like years. Yeah, because Joe Exotic thought he was going to get pardoned, and then he didn't get pardoned, and he's like, I'm too gay for Trump to pardon or something. When what I'm sure happened is that Trump like fucking forgot about him. It's funny to think that if Tiger King had come out later, Trump might have pardoned Joe Exotic because like he would have like remembered him or something. I don't know. I feel like Joe Biden is weird. I feel like we are all being have been trained to be excited for him, even though there's still footage of him sniffing people's hair. There's still, rape accusations against him. There's still the fact that he, authored the crime bill and was really involved in the Iraq War. Like not only like voted for it, but was involved in blocking, people who would have testified about, the fact that the weapons didn't exist. and so forth. And so I just find it completely impossible to be excited about it. Carol Baskin bought a Mar-a-Lago subscription. Carol Baskin gets the last laugh as Joe Exotic fails to be pardoned. She is made I don't really have a joke for Tiger King anymore. I remember when Tiger King came out and like everyone was like rushing to make like Tiger King content, and like just how fruitless this whole sort of go around the earth is. I think the thing with Biden is just a relief to know what a president is. Yeah, like Biden hasn't apologized for Anita Hill either. He's just like, I'm Jack. I'm eating my ice cream and writing letters to the White House demanding ice cream summit. And Anita Hill. I'm getting thrown into a kidnapped and thrown down a large hill without a ride home. The FBI, who struggling to reclaim a certain writing letter to the White House demanding an ice cream summit between Joe Biden and Anita Hill, where they both have nice scoops. They both have scoops. They both get scoops. And getting kidnapped and thrown down in a large hill by the FBI, who are struggling to I love the phrase "get their groove back." I've never seen Stella how Stella got her groove back, but I do love the phrasing getting groove back because sometimes it can mean like learning how to rediscover your love of torturing people. It can mean having sex with like Tyrese Gibson or whoever is in that movie. Whoever was the hot guy of the moment at that point. The no-fly list. God. Joking about getting on the no-die list. To people at the airport and having them, what's it called? Repo, having them possess, having them take away, and confiscate. Revoke is like more of a conceptual idea, right? Also, Matt, if the show is going too long, please let me know because I feel like I could continue writing, but I know it's kind of late. We might go for a few more minutes. All of it, Ansald. All of it. Too late for quibbling. No, I agree. It is a sad way to end that joke. One way to process us, so many people dying, to imagine a heaven where Matt, when do we need to wrapping up soon would be good. Cool. I'll write one more. I'll just finish this up and then we'll say goodnight. Oh no. Oh no. Crap. One more joke. One way to process so many people dying is imagine heaven where everyone is in a big living room. Subtly resenting each other for their fart and no one will claim. Cool. I don't know if that's a good joke or a bad joke, but it is the last joke, and it is the joke that we were going to go out on. Anyway, I gotta go. Thank you for watching. Joy of posting. Thank you for hanging out with me. It is a way for me to feel less alone in the world, and I hope that you feel connected and inspired at all, edified at all by the proceedings, which just proceeded. So I will see all of you next week. Otherwise, feel free to catch our other many hours of wonderful programming on this channel. Feel free to follow and subscribe if the channel is delivering you programming which you enjoy and wish to return to, because we always appreciate your support. Otherwise, I love you all very much, and I will see you next week. Bye!